Welcome to my dad's car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it.
Afternoon.
Hello, sir. You all right?
How you doing? All right?
Yeah, we're not too bad, yeah.
Yeah. So waiting on Jill.
Indeed, yeah. She said this morning, I think, she tested the link. Everything was all right. So, yeah, she'll be with us very shortly.
Okay.
Is that your BX jar in the background there, John?
Yeah, you heard it.
Is it the same pound every time? Or is
is
it culminating?
That will remain a mystery, Andy.
At some point, it'll be a bit like a Blue Peter appeal, and they're going, "My dad's car I've raised. It's only £1."
Yeah. Podcast host's been hoarding money that he claims to have been putting into a charity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same pound coin, the same jar. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, we'll put that out as a bonus episode. Secrets of podcasting.
Yeah. The Christmas special. I probably owe it at least 3 by now, don't I? I'd imagine.
Hi, Jill. Welcome along.
Thanks for having me.
Let me introduce you to my friend John.
Hello, Jill. Nice to meet you.
Hi, John.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, a bit nervous because obviously you never know what to expect with these sorts of things.
Yeah, we're very friendly, and we'll ask you one question, and then it's just a case of wherever it goes after that, basically. So, cool. Yeah, for the benefit of the tape, I met Jill through Porsches. And it was a social media post, I think we'll probably come on to a bit later. You put something up about your GT3, and obviously I think you were going to go and put some flowers at your dad's stone or something like that, and you wished he was there, but he wasn't there.
Yeah, I went to the crematorium, yeah.
And it kind of felt like, there obviously must be some sort of motoring memory there which has connected you both. And that's the sort of thing we talk about, really. So, what's your earliest motoring memory? And then we'll move further on.
Well, I grew up on a farm, so my earliest motoring memory was some form of Land Rover, and particularly my dad, when he was alive, he was very passionate about vintage lorries.
Okay.
So, vintage vehicles in general. So my first early motoring memory involving my dad would be a vintage Land Rover.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what model it was exactly. Something from like the 30s or 40s, I should imagine, not sure. But it was called Mickey Mouse, and it's still in the collection, because obviously my dad's passed away, my mum's passed away, but one of my dad's friends has the complete collection that he looks after for my dad and all that kind of stuff, and Mickey Mouse is still in that collection with everything else.
Oh, wow.
So it's really good it's gone to a family friend who my dad absolutely adored too.
That's amazing. Does it still get used, Jill, the Land Rover?
Yeah, no, it does. It doesn't get used regularly. So there's a vintage show. My dad was like a big member of the HCVS, the Historic Commercial Vehicle Society. So, and then I'm passionate about raising money for charity as well. So him and a few of his friends from various entities organised this vintage vehicle show called the Chiltern Hills Vintage Vehicle Rally. So it's in May every year. So Ben takes the Mickey Mouse to that rally every year, and he does like a few other shows with a couple of the other lorries that are in the collection as well. So there's like 3 Paterson and Pickfords. There's a Bedford O-Type and an Austin K2. When my dad passed away, she gifted one to my dad's other friend who is really close to, called Nigel, and he's got like an Austin K2 LMS vintage vehicle lorry that my dad built up and everything, and obviously configured it to how it used to be when it was from that era. So it was kind of cool.
Nice.
2 questions then. Why Mickey Mouse? Has the Land Rover got kind of ears and stuff? And then I guess we should get on to what the lorry thing's about. Was he a lorry driver or something? Or so maybe should we go for Disney first?
Yeah, I actually don't know. I still don't know. It's just I name all my cars, so it's there's a logical reason for that somewhat. But I actually don't know the reason why Mickey Mouse. I just think it was
like cheese.
Probably.
Maybe it always had a tow rope on it and like a little tail or something.
Yeah, it was just very random, and it's a name that's stuck in our family, so it's it's nice, and Ben still refers it to that as well. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cute.
And the vintage lorry thing, is that just a fascination?
Well, I grew up with older parents, so if my dad was alive now, he would be like 87 this October.
Okay.
So he was very much into lorries from that era. He did have a lorry driving license and a bit of a haulage business, so he's kind of like a businessman by trade and like a farmer as well. But he was just passionate about these vintage lorries, vintage tractors, and all that kind of thing, and like so much so. And before he set up his own business in Aylesbury, which is our local town, he was actually going to go off to Cambridge to study history and then eventually become a teacher. But he was working for my godfather's father at the time, and then obviously his path in life changed and a new opportunity presented itself. But he always had a passion for history.
Yeah.
The first one that he got rebuilt up and all that kind of thing was the Bedford O-type, so that was the Carter Paterson. So then it was getting it restored, and then they were originally used during like the 40s and stuff as transport lorries between train stations.
Okay.
So then, say if people came into a train station, they'd put their luggage or whatever on at the Carter Paterson, take it to a hotel, or the Carter Paterson and Pickfords, they were the removal companies, so it would be like that, taking the stuff around. So even in the back of these vintage lorries, they have like trunks. There's a mangling one, like the original curtains and everything my dad sourced from stuff, and then got restored and like put into the back of these various lorries. But he'd also researched the history, so things like the history of Carter Paterson and Pickfords, the history of like LMS having these transport lorries. And then one in particular, there's a company in Aylesbury called the Aylesbury Brewery Company, and then a drinks company called Daler set themselves up later on, and they were originally from Northern Randall. So my dad got a Northern Randall lorry, refurbished it, and again got original items, and then he gifted it to one of his friends who is like the guy who owns Daler, and he used to be very close with his father, Tim Cooper, when he was alive as well. So it's like that they've still got that, and that obviously goes to all the shows as well. And that's like their original historic Northern Randall vehicle that my dad got that done for. So he loved doing things like that. He loved history, loved doing all the vintage vehicle shows and chatting to people that had similar interests and things like that, getting their own lorries like done up and looking at their own histories and stuff.
Wow.
Nice. I think that's the first mention for lorries, isn't it, Andy?
I think so. Yeah, we've had vans.
It is very different.
Yeah.
Like, it was like my weekends and summers would be like going to vintage lorry shows, and all my friends would be out like playing like their Game Boys and stuff, or like whatever. And I'd be like going to all these car shows with my dad.
Did you ever go to the they used to do like the lorry racing, didn't they?
No, never did anything like that, yeah.
No.
They still do truck racing. Still do it, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, it's meant to be really good. Have you ever seen it, Andy?
Yeah. 1990, I went to the British Truck Grand Prix with my dad at Brands Hatch.
Oh, right.
So somewhere still got the programme for that. And we sat in the grandstand as well, actually. He must have got comp tickets from somewhere. And yeah, we went to that. But it's quite good to watch.
Nice.
Yeah. So was he hands-on, Jill? Would he do any of that work himself, or was it?
He'd never do any of the refurbishing, because it was a lot of like body work. Because I remember the first one, the Carter Paterson, the Bedford O-type, it was literally like found derelict in the back of a field, and then my dad had got this guy's details and made him an offer like, we've heard there's like this chassis in your field, and then obviously it got the engine redone, and then obviously sourced all the things, and then he got someone to hand sign write the logo and stuff on the side of the lorry. So he wasn't very hands-on in that respect. But I mean, neither am I, if I'm going to be honest, with my cars too. So I think I definitely get that from him as well.
So what was he pottering around with? He had a Land Rover. Was that his kind of daily ride? So you go to school in that and stuff, I guess?
Yeah, like the first one was like this really awful, because I'm not a red kind of person. It was this really awful, like maroon Range Rover. I mean, it was really nice, but then again, it's just... My first memory of that was my dad got it on a Friday, and me and my sister were bridesmaids at a wedding on a Saturday, and I had to wear a dress. And it was like this really awful, like bright teal kind of tulle satin. And it was awful. I didn't want to be a bridesmaid for these people I didn't know anyway, because I was like really young. And yeah, it was just, that was my first memory of like a proper Land Rover. And then otherwise it was like Land Rover Discoveries.
Oh, okay.
And like that's for like the farm, and obviously they're good for like non-off-road use too. So
Yeah. Was he kind of hands-on if you broke down, or do you have any breakdown memories?
yeah, no, he would. And that I was out when I passed my driving test. My dad and we'd gone to the Tame cattle market for the day. It was a Tuesday because I had like Tuesdays off of college back then. And then there was a problem with the Land Rover we dropped some of the cattle off at the cattle market, and then we're coming back with an empty trailer, and there was a problem with the Land Rover. So yeah, he knew what to do. It was just like a bit of a loose pipe, and then obviously got that sorted, got us back home, and then got it fixed properly. So yeah, he could do like certain things, but not like proper rebuilds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of memorable trips aside from the sort of farmy stuff, Jill? Like, would it just be you and your sister and your mum and your dad in the car, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we used to have weekends away to these vintage vehicle lorry shows, so they were quite cool. And then like Dad and I would go to the Goodwood Festival of Speeds together.
Yeah.
And that was when I started driving, so I'd take him in my car, and then we'd do revival in his vehicles. So like just sharing it, and just lots of road trips involving the lorries, like London to Brighton and all that kind of thing, and then family trips with like our normal like car. And, like we used to do like camping holidays and stuff, which I absolutely loved, to like Bournemouth every summer holiday. That was like fantastic.
Nice. Are there any sort of cars that stick in your mind, Jill, that you'd like to maybe get your hands on one day that your parents owned?
Well, there's one I can say.
Can be a lorry.
Well, yeah, probably going to sound really obscure given my taste in cars. It would be this Massey Ferguson tractor. Absolutely loved it. And like the John Deere tractor as well.
Nice.
There's one car I can confidently say I would not have ever. Is this beige Larder. That was like an interim car that we had as a family. No, definitely would never have that. Any beige car's a big no, but a Larder is a definite red flag for me.
Was that the 4-wheel drive one? Is it the Neva? Like a off-roader type thing?
No, it was literally like the, not the hatchback, just like
a saloon?
Yeah, and it was just hideous. And I think I got a lot of stick.
Hearing aid beige.
Yes, that colour. I got a lot of sticks from my friends at school when I got picked up in that. So I think it's like PTSD just even thinking about it, if I'm being honest.
The Larder was worse than a Skoda, wasn't it? For kind of, there wasn't even any jokes about it. They were that rubbish. Like,
yeah. Was it a Larder Reaver? Was that the other one?
Yeah, I think so.
Was there a Reaver? Yeah. Yeah, they were horrendous, weren't they? Like the styling, that and the Skoda, they were real sort of, they were the ones that got taken down quite badly, weren't they? Certainly in my childhood era. Yeah.
And the seats, they definitely must have been a fire hazard. They wouldn't get signed off now.
If you asked a 3-year-old to draw a car, it was just like that, wasn't it? Basically,
Larder.
Just a box.
And someone made it into a real life car, unfortunately.
They're quite collectible, I think. Now people are kind of into them.
No, you're not going to convince me, Andy, sorry.
So, can you drive a lorry? Have you got a lorry license to kind of potter around in them, or have you driven them?
Well, for these vintage lorries, you don't need an HGV licence, but I think the most I've driven is a 17.5 tonner, and that was like when I passed my driving test.
Wow.
Me and my dad went out and about, like, to pick up something, and yeah, so that's as far as I've got for a lorry.
They'll let anyone in one. So as long as you've got a car licence, you can drive 17.5 tons from the 40s.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Jeez. It's probably ULEZ compliant as well, isn't it, I'd imagine?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Oh, you should eye one of them up, John.
Yeah.
I would never drive one because you have to double to clutch them.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like that's something I wouldn't be confident without destroying anything through the transmission on them. So I've always been a passenger.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the neighbours would feel if rocked up with a 17.5 tonner.
Might not go on your drive.
Park that in the close, yeah.
Very good. And is your sister into cars as well? Has she kind of picked the bug up, or has she escaped?
No, she's the spectrum opposite of me. No, she doesn't know anything about cars, and she just literally buys whatever she thinks looks good at the time, that kind of level. And then I've got a half sister as well from my dad. She's quite a lot older than both of us. And she's not really into cars as well, or vehicles in general, but she's more kind of on the level of appreciating the fact that I'm into cars because I was the most similar growing up to my dad anyway. So it kind of made sense that I would be, really.
And your mum kind of put up with it, or did she enjoy it, the kind of that lifestyle?
I can't say she liked it. I'd say she tolerated it. And then it was literally like every summer, like my dad would be out at a Lorry show, I'd be out at a car show, or that we'd both be out at meets together. Because I used to take, when I first got my Mark on Focus RS, like my dad was the first person I used to take to all my car shows with me and all my meets because I didn't know anyone and I didn't want to go on my own because I wasn't as confident back then. And yeah, he used to love it, and just I do feel sorry for my mum now, thinking about it, that she was abandoned basically all summer by both of us. But like her and my sister were always quite close, so it's not like she was left on her own. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I think you'd written something about that, hadn't you, on your social media, kind of the fact that you used to go to those events with your dad.
Yeah, he used to come with me quite a lot, yeah. He used to love it, because obviously it's a different world to vintage lorry world. They are quite, I mean, like, sometimes the car world can be quite nerdy when you're at shows, especially the Porsche shows. You get all the, like, proper nerds in their Porsche clothes and everything. But, yeah, like, at the vintage lorry shows...
What's that hoodie you've got on there, Andy?
No, it's not a Porsche.
They're like a different level. And they'll like they'll come to the shows even like outside of Revival dressed up in like their things that kind of were to do with the vehicles that they've got on show, you know, like a vintage delivery milkman for like a milk van type thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a different world.
Is there any particular reason why you went down the Porsche route then, Jill? That's what you're sort of into now, isn't it?
Yeah, so I am a Ford nut as well. I've had Fords like all my life, like my car history. But I've always wanted a Porsche. So it started with the Porsche that was there was this shop that's no longer around called Athena, and they had like a Porsche poster. Well, they had two different types, and one was like this 964. And it always stuck in my head, like, that's the car I want. Like, I always wanted a 911 when I was growing up as a kid. Yeah. And then I made it happen, like, 7 years ago. So it was actually 7 years ago yesterday that I picked up my first ever Porsche from Hexagon in Highgate. Yeah. And that was a bit of a funny one, because I'd measured the garage. I can laugh about it now, it's not funny. But then I thought I'd measured it, but then I forgot there's these pillars that stick out on one side into the garage, and I didn't measure that. And then I'm like, oh, this is wider at the back than the front. Like, what have I done here? What if it doesn't actually fit in the garage? And I'm kind of like, I'm one of these people, I'll worry about that when I get it home. So that was the 997 GTS. And now I've got my 992 GT3, and it's even wider. And again, it got to the stage, I had it parked out the front of my garage on the day I got it back delivered. So it came from Aberdeen Porsche Centre, got delivered to Fernsport, and I picked it up from there because Matt does all my work at Fernsport on my Porsches. And my neighbours came up and they're like, that's never going to fit in your garage. So there was a bit of a panic. And I thought, I'm not going to put it in the garage tonight because I can't bear the thought of people watching me. But then it was, I'm going to have to put it in the garage, or at least try. And it did, like, fine. It is a bit tight. But, you know, again, it fits. But however, if Porsche bring out anything else that is wider, there's no way it's going to fit in that garage now. So, yeah, just been a car that I've always wanted, a 911, and just, I was brought up to try and make things happen and, you know, follow your dreams and make your passions just happen.
Yeah, fair play, yeah.
Have you gone down the carpet on the walls, which is a bit of a dad classic? Have you got that for opening the doors so you don't bash them up?
That's next. So basically on the driver's side in my garage is where the pillar sits. So I have to park super close to that side and then climb over to the driver's side and out there. So I've got some carpet that's going to go on the wall. And I'm not a nerd, but it is the same colour carpet that's the same colour as the car. It's like grey.
It's good to hear.
So I've got a square cut out. That's going to be fixed, but I need to paint my garage floor first because that's actually more of a prevalent project that I've actually been saying I'm going to do since I bought my house 9 years ago, and it's still not been painted. So that's actually my winter project, like doing those two things. But there will be a bit of carpet on the wall just for that reason, really. Yeah.
So just go. You have to climb out of one seat into the other one to get out of the car. You got bucket seats as well.
Yeah. I'm quite flexible though, so it's actually not a problem. It's just remembering to have, because at the moment I've got this orange duster, so remembering to put it on that and like have it ready. Otherwise, if I leave it in the garage and it's not in the car, then it's kind of like, oh right, what have I got to put up against that bit of brick? Yeah.
Silly question. Can you drive the car in the other way?
I don't like reversing it in. It'd be like, that'd give me kittens. Definitely not. No, there's no way I'd be able to do that. I mean, I could, but it'd take me longer than driving it in, and then obviously getting out the way I do. So it's just, yeah.
I was just going to say, we used to live next to a guy, or not next to a guy, he was a neighbour of sorts. And he used to have a big old Jag, and we had quite tight garages. He used to drive it in, and he used to get out the sunroof.
Oh, really?
Because he couldn't get any of the doors open. Yeah, which is absolutely insane looking back. Yeah, Pete Berger, his name was, for the benefit of the tape.
Yeah.
If you're out there.
He's not out there. He died, I think. But
I don't think, even if I had a sunroof, there's no way I'd do that and like slide down the back windscreen into the spoiler. No.
That's mad, isn't it?
definite risk of scratching, isn't there, coming out the sunroof, going over the bodywork?
I think I've known of people who sort of get out and then just push it in.
Yeah.
So sort of line your wheels up and then you're just like, okay, we'll just push that one in.
Funnily enough, there was a chap in the same parade of garages. He had a little Mini. He used to do that. Just used to roll it in and out. Christopher, little red Mini.
How much smaller could a car be to get in and out of that garage? Like,
I know. Yeah.
Especially the older ones, that Mini, like super tiny, the older ones.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was your dad a smoker in the car, or did he have the radio on? We sort of set the atmosphere.
Yeah, so he did smoke, and he did smoke in his car, and that's just, I don't let people do things like that in my car. It's like, you can drink, but it has to be water so it doesn't leave a stain if you spill anything. There's no eating in my car. But yeah, back to my dad. So yeah, he'd smoke in the car, and then we would have music on. So it would either be something like Radio 4, because remember I had like older parents, or my dad used to really love this tape, because obviously this was back in the day when there was tapes. He used to love this thing called the Forsyth Saga. So it's basically like a spoken tape, a story.
I've heard of it.
And then again, this is not really car related, but in there they had a character or a pet called Balthazar. So then one of our dogs had to be called Balthazar on the farm, you know, like, because he absolutely loved it and like made joking references to all the characters, and like I think he listened to that so often he could literally recite chapters or sentences from it like word for word. And I thought it was kind of like, we used to hate it, but it is like a fond memory. But at the time, it was kind of like, we're kids, we didn't want to listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
Or you just wanted like Radio 1 or whatever on.
And now it's in your head forever, Jill, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. But it does bring back a smile. Oh, my dad used to love opera, like Gilbert and Sullivan. So,
okay.
When I got married, I actually got married in Gilbert and Sullivan's Manor House, Grimstake Manor, just outside Watford. And he used to love Gilbert and Sullivan, so it'd be like that opera as well, like some of those tapes and stuff. Yeah.
This is much more cultured than most of the other dads we've had on, isn't it, Andy? I reckon it's taking it to a new level.
Yeah.
Nothing against any of the other dads that we've had on, that is. But...
No, vintage lorries and opera driver. Just imagine that coming, just trundling down the road, 17.5 tons, with opera blaring out from the wireless.
Beautiful.
Yeah, HMS Pinafore from the speakers. Oh dear.
And then a farming chap gets out, probably kind of slightly muddy trousers.
Yeah, wearing wellies and everything. Yeah, a border collie.
It's like the outtakes from The Archers, the bits then.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's sorry, blank. Fill in, John, if you got anything clever to say.
I was going to jump in. It might tie quite nicely in with wellies and be quite predictable, actually, being sort of farm-led. But any memorable smells, Jill, in any of the vehicles from your parents?
Yeah, well, once we had...
Tobacco, perhaps?
Well, tobacco, but then it really... Because obviously growing up on a farm, you get all the pungent farm smells. And then we had, like lambing season. So occasionally you'd get, like, orphan lambs. So we'd have them in the kitchen, and that'd be really cool in a little pen in the kitchen, and bottle feed them. And then one got sick once, so it'd literally be in the back of the Land Rover, and then run down to the vets, because it was quicker to do it that way instead of waiting for the farm vet to come up to us, and probably a lot cheaper as well with call-out fees, thinking about it now. But yeah, I remember like that there was a smell of sheep for a long time in that vehicle afterwards, yeah.
So have you chosen to pursue any sort of agricultural-based career, or have you deliberately gone the other way?
Well, I did my degree in animal science because I wanted to work with animals, and then like my speciality was agriculture, or like farm animals.
Yeah.
But when I finished my degree in animal science, I couldn't get a job working with animals, so eventually I ended up working in pathology. So I started off with this part-time job as a lab tech in my local hospital, and then got offered a traineeship to become like a trainee scientist. And my biomedical scientist speciality was cytopathology.
Okay.
And I qualified that and got all the necessary qualifications for that, and then slowly worked my way up, becoming like a specialist scientist, then a senior scientist. And then eventually last year I took the leap out and I've become like a pathology operation manager now. So I'm not in the lab at all. I miss it, but obviously like now I can actually help patients from a different level altogether and make more of an impact into their life. And like my dad passed away with bladder cancer.
Okay.
And I did my master's research project involving that to try and help one person. So it is like I do feel like I'm more beneficial to helping people out there, like my dad, not just bladder cancer patients, but anyone who needs anything from pathology. So albeit like you have your blood test done at phlebotomy, that'll come into the path lab. And that side of things. So it's like, even though I'm not working with animals, I do feel that I am helping people in that way on a different level, because effectively like humans are an animal. But I do kind of wonder what my life would have been like, because the plan was originally to kind of like get to veterinary university, but I realised I was too squeamish. Hence ending up doing my degree in animal science, because obviously that didn't involve cutting animals open and all that kind of thing. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
And your sister, has she done? Where's she gone?
My sister, she ended up becoming a beauty therapist.
Okay.
But, now she doesn't actually work, so.
Neither of you have kind of followed in Dad's footstep from the sort of the farming point of view or anything?
No, not really, no. Although I was probably the one more involved in like farming, helping out on weekends, doing like animal duties and all that kind of thing, helping out with lambing season and calving season, and like haymaking and all that kind of thing. Like I used to go out with my dad on the tractor, like when it was like seed sowing season. Yeah, so my sister, she's very much it's not that I'm not a girly girl, it's just she never liked things like getting muddy or like going over the farm because of the farm smells and all that kind of thing. So yeah, we're very like chalk and cheese.
And is your mum still around?
Oh no, she passed away in May this year. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
So I guess the farm's no more then. It's not like you can go back to, or have you still got a family living on the farm?
Well, my sister, she lives in the farmhouse.
Okay, cool.
And then the farm's rented out to my dad's old farm manager's son, Simon. So Simon runs all the farm still, so it is still there, and like all
cool.
the land and everything's still there. It is like a running farm. He's obviously changed his business model to suit him compared to what like my dad used to have it, and then like Simon's dad Roy ran it as.
Yeah.
But obviously times change and agriculture evolves and stuff. So it's kind of like you do need to change your business model for that to just keep up. But farming's tough, you know. Like even if I wanted to get into it, I think my dad knew the future. Like he used to have like a business in Aylesbury and Leighton Buzzard and Northampton, like a dairy business, not cows dairy, like milk production dairy. So he used to have like people like delivering milk throughout Aylesbury, like. And everyone would be like, oh, there's a Ron Miller limited milk float. That's your dad. Well, we saw one of your dad's milk floats today, like that kind of thing. So even if I wanted to get in that side of the business that he ran as well, I think he knew he was like quite good at like forecasting things. So he wouldn't have encouraged me to get into that anyway, because he knew that like as the long-term future, it would be quite limited with like progression and like the way things are evolving. Obviously, you guys know the milk industry's changed. You very rarely see anyone that has glass bottles on their doorstep now. Like, I can't even remember the last time I saw a milk float or any, like, little trucks delivering milk around my local area.
Yeah.
So it's like,
We've got a couple of firms that do actually deliver in our road, I think. I think there are two sort of main ones.
Oh, that's good.
And we were doing it for a while, actually. But yeah, it still goes on. I suppose the nature of farming is, like, when your parents are farmers, usually it's kind of from a young age, you probably know, don't you, if it's going to be for you and you're going to go into it. And then if you don't, then kind of, I guess, farming life for that particular family kind of comes to an end, doesn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely. I think even if my dad had sons as well, like if I've got brothers, he would have discouraged them from getting into farming as well. So
yeah, fair enough. So is the Porsche your sort of daily then, Jill? Or have you got another little run around?
My daily driver is a Mark 7 ST Fiesta. It's been a bit modified and tuned up. Yeah, I love it. It's great. But like, I am from a huge Ford background. There's one. Yeah, I think there's only like the Mark 5 Fiesta and the Mark 1 Fiesta that I've not had in my whole like Ford ownership Fiesta history.
Where's the Mark 7 in terms of like era? Is that like the most recent?
No, that's the Mark 8, and that's the one they've stopped making now.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say that's it now, isn't it, for the Fiesta?
I know, so it's kind of like it is the end of a huge era, which is such a shame. But again, that's me being biased because I love them. But yeah, I've got that as my daily driver, and then I've got my Porsche in the garage. So I use it like obviously when I'm not at work, weekends and stuff, going out and about, and then I try and take it off the road for the winter. It's not because it's a garage thing; it is just for the fact that there's not many shows and stuff going on in the winter, and then various other things in life tend to happen. So I usually take it off the road until April, and then obviously the roads in the UK are absolutely shocking. So that's another reason I don't tend to run it in the winter either, just because it's like the potholes are getting bigger and bigger every year, like spiders. They're just getting bigger.
What was the thoughts with the Fords? How did you kind of end up with Fords? So your dad was into Land Rovers. Is that kind of influence from someone, or it's just how it went?
Well, I think it's because when I was at college, I always wanted a Fiesta, because it was like the Mark III Fiesta, and I always wanted an XR2. And then eventually, got all the car magazines and stuff, because I had one particular car that got a magazine feature, was at various shows. I used to get all the magazines just to see if there was any pictures of it in there, and then I saw a Mark 1 Focus RS, so that was my first. Oh no, my XR2 Fiesta was my first Ford. But I got my Mark 1 Focus RS because it's like I wanted something that looked good. I didn't have to spend money modifying to look good. And then obviously it had the performance as well at the time, and I got that when I was in my 20s, and that was quite powerful compared to what I was previously driving. So it was like a proper weapon back then. So the amount of power it had as standard and like a turbo, and just loved it. That's one of the best cars I've owned. That and my Mark II Focus RS 500. Definitely.
Okay.
Very collectible.
What car magazines were you reading?
Oh, so this is when I had a Vauxhall Corsa. So don't judge me, because obviously this is when I was a lot younger. So I'm 41 now. So this is when I was in my 20s, and it was my first car. So it was started its life as a Vauxhall Corsa, like a 1 litre 12 valve. So it had 3 cylinders. It was a proper beast, 50 horsepower. Yes, come on. And then I started modifying it, and then I wanted to take it to the next level. So I got sponsorship from various companies. I was really lucky, and then got it completely customised. So it's in Fast Car magazine with this 5-page feature.
Okay.
In the Max Power Top 100, 3 years running, and then various shows on the Fast Car stand or the Rockford Fosgate stand, because they sponsored me with all the audio. So yeah, it was really good back then. But obviously, this is when the car scene was different, and people loved a bit of fiberglass and all this Max Power body kit type stuff. And I was actually having this conversation with someone yesterday about my car, and it was kind of I look back and it's I loved the car at the time, but it feels like an out of body experience. Did I really have that car? Because now my taste has totally changed, and I'd never do that ever.
It's interesting to get a female perspective, especially from that time when kind of all the car magazines were very much aimed at a male audience.
Yeah, it was really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, just to get that kind of input really.
You have to send some pictures across, Jill, if you've got any of the call. That'd be fun to see.
Yeah, I will, definitely, yeah. You have to let me know your email address and I'll send them over, definitely, for sure.
We've got a catchy Gmail, haven't we? Is it MyDadsCarPodcast at gmail.com? Is that the one, John?
That's the one, yeah.
Perfect.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
But if you Google Carter, Paterson and Pickford, like Bedford own type, and then on Google Images, it'll come up with pictures of my dad's lorry.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you can easily snatch them off there. But I think I've got some at home.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'll dig them out of the loft in the photo album where they're kept there safe. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, awesome. Well, yeah, I think that's a great place to kind of wrap it up, Jill. Thank you very much for sharing your story and your memories with us.
No, thank you. I'm really flattered that you invited me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye. There we go. My dad's van, tractor, lorry. We're doing a lot.
Very good, yeah.
Helicopters, boats and planes next.
Yeah. We've got to keep it on the road, haven't we, really? No, it's good. There's a bit of variety. Interesting to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't expecting it.
No,
absolutely.
I wasn't.
No. But you can't judge a book, can you?
You can't, no. It's amazing as well, really. You think you take lorries and farming and Land Rovers, and Jill went down the sort of max power Fords, Porsches now. So
yeah, it couldn't be much more different.
But definitely got the bug quite early, I think, through going to all the old lorry shows and truck shows, whatever it was.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, influenced by all of that. And I guess the enthusiasm's still there, isn't it? It doesn't really matter what the vehicle is. It's just kind of whether or not you kind of get into it and you enjoy that sort of lifestyle of meeting those people. And nice that she was able to share some of that with her dad before she lost her dad. And
definitely,
kind of keeps doing it now, I guess, with a bit of a memory of her dad with her while she's doing it. So
yeah, I guess it's quite nice in a way. Like if it's a recent loss that you've had and you come on here and you talk about the memories, then those memories are going to be on this recording forever, aren't they? So
indeed, yeah,
kind of stored. Well, as long as we leave it out there, I suppose. As long as it's relevant.
This will be here forever.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, thank you everyone for listening and supporting. Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, Andy.
Roll the credits. Thanks for listening to My Dad's Car Podcast. If you have enjoyed this episode, please click subscribe, leave us a review and follow us on social media. If you'd like to support us further, you can buy us a coffee or sign up to give us a monthly bump start. You'll find details on our website, mydadscar.co.uk. Bye for now.